everyone, and welcome to the Live Your Best Marriage podcast. I'm your host, Whitney Shayo.
And I'm your host, Pesa Shayo.
And this is the place where we believe that every single couple out there has a chance to have an awesome and happy marriage, and also a long-lasting one too.
Oh yeah, every marriage has a chance to be awesome, fulfilling, and just great.
Pesa and I have been together for 13 years, and we have 4 children. So we just want to be a source of inspiration and also provide encouragement for everybody out there, because we are real people with real problems. So we've been there, and we know that it's not easy, but we also know how rewarding it can be to stay together.
Oh, yes.
So you guys can always reach out to us on Twitter. I'm at Whitney Shayo.
And I'm at Pesa Shayo.
Of course, you can like us on Facebook,
which is Facebook.com/Live Your Best Marriage.
That's right. And you can always visit the blog at liveyourbestmarriage.com.
Oh, yeah. So what are we talking about today, Whitney?
So,
at the Live Your Best Marriage podcast.
Well, we know that marriage is not always easy. So...
Really?
What... So, I know that's a huge surprise. But then again, nothing is easy.
Because if it was easy, everybody would be doing... I guess everybody does marriage. Yeah.
So, what do you do when you feel like your marriage is in trouble?
I call you.
So today we wanted to give 3 tips, 3 different things that you can consider or that you can just start doing when you feel like your marriage is in trouble. And you want to save it, of course.
Yes. So
the first thing is you need action, and a lot of it. And I don't mean... the action you're thinking. I mean, like...
Oh, man, where's your mind?
Start doing nice things for your spouse. And there's always that question. Okay, well, like, is there an ulterior motive? Like, why are they
why are you so
fake?
Nice? Yeah.
Yeah, why are you so nice? But the truth...
there's no problem.
No, there's no problem with that. So, without being asked or whatever, like to do something, if there's a chore that they don't like doing, just go ahead and do it.
Okay.
And I know that sounds really petty, but start with the small things, and or bring them a small gift, or just treat them with something nice.
And the way I think about it, is, okay, so your marriage is in trouble and you want to save it. So, and you gave us the idea that you need to take a lot of action. So the way I look at it is, you need to take a lot of action that moves you closer to your spouse. I don't know what it is. You know your spouse better. You guys know each other. So what kind of action? Don't sit there thinking and trying to figure out, oh, maybe should I read this book and try? No, just what action do you think will get you closer to your spouse? It might be just calling her. It's like, hey, what's up? Or it might be sending her a text. Like, do anything to move yourself closer to her, not doing things to move you away from her. Now,
right.
You might try a bunch of things and nothing might work because at that time maybe she's upset or whatever, but just keep pounding in terms of moving closer to her and opening up the lines of communication.
Be persistent.
Be persistent in opening up the lines of communication and not ignore the situation because in that movie Fireproof, who's that dude? The husband.
Caleb.
Oh, yeah, Caleb. So Caleb, there was a point in that movie that he had given up, right? And the wife was like, yeah, I'm going to sleep in my own room. And Caleb was sleeping in his own room. And basically he wasn't doing any, I guess to me, he wasn't moving closer to his wife. And I know he was in trouble, but he wasn't moving closer to his wife. So in a situation like that, your marriage is going down, because later on he was able to see what was going on, and he's like, I'm gonna defend my marriage. Remember?
Yeah.
So at that time, he became cray-cray. I mean, he's doing everything. Like, things are working, things are not working, but he was moving closer to his wife,
Right.
emotionally and physically. If you know what I mean.
And
yeah.
No, you explained it very, very well. That is exactly what you need to do, because I was going for the small ticket items, but what Pesa is saying is actually even better, because if you know your marriage is in trouble, then most likely the lines of communication are not very strong.
Yeah.
You're not really either friendly to each other, or you're not talking very much.
Yeah.
And
dude, it's your wife or it's your husband, you know. Do everything.
Yeah. So I really like that advice of just being persistent and just having that determination to not give up and keep trying to reach them.
Yeah. So I mean, you've sent 10 text messages. Change be more creative, but try something new. But keep moving forward in terms of trying to open up the lines of communication.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We don't know what will work.
And it's and I totally understand. It is discouraging when you do an act of kindness, or you do something, or you try to talk to them and they don't respond, or they just ignore the nice thing you did. I totally know how hard it is to move on to the next thing and just keep trying. I totally do. Yeah, I do.
What, did you read it somewhere, or what?
No, it has happened.
Did you read it somewhere in a book or something?
It hasn't been recent for us, but that has happened.
In a movie?
No, in this marriage. Yeah. So I get it. It is very discourage,ing, but you have to have the grit to overcome that.
You gotta keep
move
pounding,
past that. And your spouse will see a huge change in you. I mean, if you become like more agreeable and you just become nicer and you're not as confrontational as you were previously, if you were at all, they'll notice a huge change.
And that word that you just used, be more, like you become more agreeable.
Right.
That's like magic right there. Because one thing, especially when you're in sales or you're trying to sell something, you know that you'll get something done if you're more agreeable. If it's not about accepting what they're saying, it's basically agreeing with what you're saying. You are taking their point as valid. And when it comes to a marriage, accepting as valid what your spouse is saying, that's like huge. So that does not mean that's what you'll do, but you are making it valid. Can you give an example? Like
an example of
being agreeable.
So if you do break through that communication problem, and your spouse says, well, I'm upset with you because of blah blah blah, you can be agreeable and say, oh yeah, I mean, I totally see what you're saying, and that wasn't right. I feel bad about that. And just look for ways to bring the two of you closer. Because that's simply being agreeable. Because if you're confrontational about it, if you just start getting defensive
off the bat,
that just pushes you further
away.
Apart.
So you can say, hey, I totally see where you're coming from. I mean, I'll be crazy, I'll be upset even if somebody did that to me. But and then you can now switch it. You can say, but, or what I was meaning to do, this is what I meant to do. So you're trying to explain yourself, but you are agreeing with what she said. You're like, I see where you're coming from. I mean, I'll be upset if somebody did that to me. So but what I was trying to do was, and then you explain yourself. That way, what she's saying is you agree with her point, but at the same time, you're able to explain your point.
Yeah, and one of the best ways to do that is to let your spouse know it was not my intention to make you feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
I really did not do it on purpose.
Yes.
You know, let
Yes.
them know, like, I did not intentionally hurt you.
I didn't intentionally hurt you. And folks, we all know, I mean, we live in the real world, and in real world there's no script. So I mean, you just have to pull, guys, you just have to pull as many things out of your bag.
Just take action.
Over and over, and
Really.
sometimes you might just be at it for a few days as you're trying to trying to get some breakthrough. But you know what I mean? Yeah, things will work eventually.
He's not talking from experience. So
What? So we're keeping it real here. I mean,
yeah, there's no perfect thing to say. There's no right or wrong
Yeah.
way to go about it. It's just you just need massive action.
Sure.
You just need to do something.
and just expect that 90%, if it's a real problematic marriage and things are really crazy, because you are at that point, like you let things get to that point, or just things happen and now we're in that really, 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 really crazy point, you can turn the ship to the right side, but it will take a lot of movement, a lot of like.
Yeah, it takes a lot of hard work. That's for sure.
Yeah,
and again, I mean, you can follow up with, you know, bringing the gifts, like a small gift, just to, you know, or ask, you know, hey, I'm going out to get something. Do you want some coffee? Do you want me to bring you coffee? Just you know, those little.
I mean, you can
gestures.
even go and bring her mom and just say, hey, can you talk to her? I mean, you can. I know I sound crazy. You know, they were talking about this in a church, and they were saying that we have a pastor in our church who also is a couples pastor, so he does a lot of therapy, and he's like he gets a phone call mostly from the husband, and he's like that. Usually the husband is in the frantic mode, frantic mode, and at that time the husband will admit to everything, including the assassination of Kennedy, just to get his wife into the same room with him. Like things are so bad, and eventually
because she had begged to go to therapy for so long.
Yes,
and he blew it off.
And now he blew it off, and now when they're in the room together, and she's asked, "How long has this been going on?" And the wife is like, "This has been going on for more than a year." And the husband is like, I just learned about it like a few days ago." So I'm like, if you're in that situation right now, I mean, you'll do a lot of. I'm not saying it's impossible to. I'm not saying it's impossible to bring back your lady back home, but there'll be a lot of movement, a lot of friction, a lot of like.
That's right.
Yeah. So when we say that there will be a lot of action, when we say there's a lot of action, we mean
definitely a lot of it.
Yes, we mean
do whatever it takes.
Yes. When we say you need action and a lot of it, yes, you'll need a lot of action.
So motion brings emotion.
Oh yeah, and there will be a lot of motion and emotion and some commotion.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, yes.
Absolutely.
So the first one is a bunch of action. What's the second one?
The second one is ask why something bothers your spouse. Don't ask what is bothering them. You need to find out the reason why. So when something offensive is said, or when a situation comes up that makes them very unhappy, you need to ask, why does this bother you?
Yeah.
And that is what's going to help you get to the bottom of it. Because a lot of us, I mean, just a lot of couples have the same fights over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
It might be a different scenario, but it's pretty much about the same topic and just similar issues. But once you're able to finally figure out why that specific thing bothers your spouse, then you'll be able to avoid a lot of the things that cause that bad feeling. So it can be anything from financial fights to jealousy or insecurity fights, and we've talked about this quite a few times.
Yeah, we talked about like same tigers, different stripes,
right?
And why will bring the emotions, and what will just get her to define him or her, get her to define what bothers her. So you're going for the emotions because the emotions there might be something else tied to them.
Right.
Yes.
So an example that we can give is in a book we read, there was a couple.
Which book? Oh, that one. I don't know.
The Blindfolded Marriage.
Oh, okay.
The husband was a traveling salesman, and the wife was a stay-at-home mom. And so they would have a huge... She was totally okay with him traveling and staying in hotels and doing this job. But then his company hired a young, attractive lady to go with him.
As a helper.
Yes, like as another salesperson. And so from that point on, every time he was scheduled to leave town, they would have a huge argument. And their normal routine was she would help him pack his bags and get his clothes ready and everything.
Yeah.
But now it was just getting to the point where she didn't even want to help him pack his bag because she was just so upset about this other young lady going with him. And so, needless to say, it would explode into a huge argument, and he would react, asking her, okay, what is your problem? Why are you so jealous for no reason?
Instead of asking why?
Yeah, like, why are you so nervous about this? And then the wife, again, in return, would yell at him, and say, oh, you don't care, blah, blah, blah. But if he could have asked her, why are you so upset about me traveling with this lady? Then she could have started thinking of ways to tell him the reason. And the reason clearly was she was afraid that she would lose him. She was afraid that he would be alone in a hotel somewhere with this lady, and then things would go too far. And I mean, it's a reasonable concern, but it was just so sad the way this story ended for this particular couple. And yes, it's a true story. They did end up divorcing.
Oh, they did?
Because they just could not get to the root of the issue. He really believed that she was just being unreasonable and that she was yelling and getting upset for nothing. And so he did actually end up having an affair with that lady.
Oh, she did.
That he was traveling with. So
her worst fears came true.
Her worst fear came true. And so, but he said what pushed him to do that was he was just so tired of the arguing. He was tired of her yelling every time he was about to go out of town. So he was viewing it as, we're just having these obnoxious fights.
Yes.
And so he wanted an escape from that, but she just couldn't get over the affair, and so sadly, they did divorce. So when we say ask, why does this situation bother you? That is such a huge help compared to, okay, what is your problem? What are you talking about? No, really, ask why, not what.
And also, after asking why, you should ask the why does this situation bother you in many different ways. Because sometimes we are not in that frame of mind to even hear what you're saying. Again, sometimes when things are crazy, you're not in the frame of mind to like hear what question you are being asked. You're just like just talking, and this other person is talking, and so if you can find a way to reframe that question, basically, why does this bother you in many ways, so that that person can be able to, maybe sometimes they can be able to hear what you're saying, and be able to open up.
Right. So it's totally worth it to just do whatever it takes to find out and ask, okay, why is this making you so upset?
Yes. And the issue of open up, because now when they tell you why, to a lot of folks now that's opening up. You're going past the what. You're going like into a more deeper level. And if they don't feel like they can trust you to tell you like now they to be more vulnerable and say why, it might take a minute. It might take a while before you get the answer. While they, because sometimes they have to feel that they are safe around you, that they can actually open up and say, you know what, I feel vulnerable, that you will leave me. Yes.
Right. And so then when you do receive the answer,
yes, don't throw it back to him like in a mean way.
Right. So we have to be understanding, and even if you think it's something ridiculous that could never possibly happen, we still need to be respectful.
Yes.
And, just let them know you appreciate them telling you, and that you will do the best you can to make sure that, their fears are just put to rest. And you can.
So in this situation, what if the tables were turned in such a way that he was able to ask the right question, and she felt secure around him to reply that it's because she feels like he's gonna leave her and have an affair with that lady. What was he supposed to? What should he have done if he got a response like that?
Well, when she was basically insisting that he ask for a different assignment, so that he doesn't travel with this lady.
Yes.
Because she knew that they would be on the plane together and then rent a car together and then be at the same hotel together. And then at the same event, obviously. So she knew it was a significant amount of time with this other lady. So her question was, can you please ask your supervisor to give you a different assignment? And he just did not hear this, as you're saying, he did not hear this concern as a concern. He heard it as nagging. And as it was just an argument, it was a bother to him. And he would just yell back, well, you're being ridiculous and you're worried for nothing. This is my job. I need to do this. I just need to do my job. So, I mean, that's, I guess, I don't know if that answers.
So, okay. So he should just have had her, and so you think he should have had her and actually listen to her concerns and actually do something about it, like maybe not go for that trip or change. Do you think changing jobs or what? Like what you think is more appropriate in that situation? Should he change jobs? Should he change assignment? What should?
I think as upset as she was, and again, we can just put ourselves in her shoes. I mean, if you're at home and your spouse is in another city,
yes,
with a brand new coworker that you barely know, and you feel uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
I mean, maybe because of the way they look, or maybe because of the way they act,
or maybe it reminds you of something.
Yeah, or maybe it reminds you of something else. I mean, whatever the issue is, just imagine, you feel like, okay, I'm so far away, I'm at home, we only get to talk on the phone a little bit, and I barely know this other person. I don't know if I can trust that person
yes,
around my spouse. And I can definitely say this, that as a caring husband, he really was obligated to go ahead and change his assignment. Not because there was a risk, but just because it made her uncomfortable.
And what about their finances? Because maybe the fact that she was a stay-at-home mom, and that was the only income. Do you think that there was also some financial issues that I don't know? I'm just trying to just throw different ideas
I'm
here.
sure there's always something. There's always an issue. There's always a reason not to do it. And but I really do feel as though if your spouse is uncomfortable about something, it's your responsibility to make sure that the problem is resolved.
Okay, even if it means so basically
making a change.
Yeah, even if it means ultimately making a change.
Yeah.
Because, and I think if the roles were reversed and she was the one flying out of town, if she was the one flying out of town and he was maybe staying in town, not a stay-at-home husband, but just staying in town. But that's not even the issue. The issue is if he had the same concerns.
Right. He would want to be listened to.
Yes.
Yeah.
He would want to be listened to. And at the same time, he would really want things to change. Just to reduce some of his concerns. Yes. So, if the roles were reversed, I'm sure he would also want some action to be taken care of.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't like it either.
No.
So the third thing is get support. And we're mostly talking about just try to seek wisdom from older couples who have been together for a long time. And because there's always advice everywhere we go.
Yeah.
A ton of advice. There's never a shortage of advice.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who it's coming from. And so we would just like to encourage, seek guidance from someone who's actually been through it.
Yeah.
So it can be a grandparent or just a couple who's been married, at least, I don't know, more than a decade, but I want to say several
decades. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that you might be thinking, okay, well, the world has changed so much since the time that they were young.
But people are the same people.
People still want to be treated with respect.
Yes.
And wives still want to be loved. Husbands still want to be loved. So it's, you know.
Husband wants to be loved and respected, Yeah.
Sure.
And, people are still, the human needs are still pretty much the same. The world has changed and the world is getting more complicated, but humans are still having some of the same needs.
Absolutely. So, folks, just as a recap, we had 3 tips for you today on things that you can do if you feel like your marriage is in trouble. So the first one was take action, and a lot of it.
A lot of it.
The second thing was ask why your spouse is upset. And number 3 was get support.
Okay.
Seek wisdom.
Seek wisdom, get support, and also be careful where you're getting your advice from, because not all advice is meant to keep you in your marriage. Some advice is actually meant to weaken the bonds that you have in your marriage and eventually to help make you have a divorce. Folks, don't forget to subscribe to the Live Your Best Marriage in iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, or wherever you get your podcasts. And until next time, we will have another podcast. Bye and God bless.
Are you tired of being upset, lonely, feeling empty, or just plain frustrated with your marriage? And no matter how hard you try, you're not getting anywhere, just going in circles? No matter how much you try to make time for one another in your schedule, or how many times you say, I'm sorry, Pesa and I have put together 99 ideas to help you connect with that one special person so that things can start to be more like the way they were before everyday life got in the way and caused the two of you to drift apart. We want you to have 99 ways to show love to your spouse absolutely free. You can find it at 99waystoshowlovetoyourspouse.com. Because here at Live Your Best Marriage, we truly hope that the two of you can move closer together and enjoy the connection that comes from achieving a stronger bond. Again, that's 99waystoshowlovetoyourspouse.com. That's the number 99waystoshowlovetoyourspouse.com.